Hi, I'm Nan Simonson, and as a health and wellness coach, we talk about food, we talk about exercise, we talk about community, and we talk about stress management and prioritizing sleep. Well, today we're going to be doing something a little different, and it was precipitated by something that I did that was a little different. I was going through files, and I have this file that says Nan's School. And I knew that I had a collection of report cards from kindergarten. I didn't realize that I had them all the way through, gosh, what is this? High school and um, yeah, through my third year of college. Uh, well, what's interesting is that in the early years and the way things were done, I was born in 1951, January. And so I was in kindergarten in public school. I grew up in Southern California, a city called Torrance, and went to the same school for 8 years. And those poor teachers, they wrote, this is kindergarten, first part of kindergarten, and then kindergarten, second part of kindergarten that looks just like this. And they did this writing through the sixth grade, and then they became report cards that I'm sure the teachers were delighted with, because then they were this kind of report card where they were just relieved of having to put in all of that verbiage. Well, it was really interesting to read back who I was in kindergarten and through these years, because we think we're going to remember, but we don't always. And there was a theme in my throughout, even beginning in kindergarten. Her speech is distinct. She speaks with ease in front of a group, but it's impossible to give her as many speaking turns as she would like. She's restless. My name is Fernanda, and that's what they all say, Fernanda this and Fernanda that. I'll just save you the Fernandas. Um, she finds it difficult to settle down. She has a tendency to wander, occasionally attempts to dominate an activity, loves singing and other musical activities as well as art. That was my first half of kindergarten. Needs to learn to listen more, responds more readily to directions with recognition and a firm hand, overcomes that will help her overcome her restlessness. Her speech problem is not quality, but one of quantity. That was sweet, I guess. Playful, talkative, inattentive, tends to wander. And that was a different teacher still saying the same thing. And then it just goes on and on. First grade, has problems finishing work, does her work neatly, but tends to lose track of where she is and what she's doing. Study habits aren't great. She's gay and delightful all the time. She especially likes to lead, tends to become restless, talkative, works rapidly. But doesn't always complete tasks. And this goes on and on. Well, guess what they would have done if I was in school now? They would have done some testing, because things are known that weren't known then. I'm 73 now, and back in those days, eh, what we can do now, unfortunately, can pigeonhole a kid, and they can live then that definition forever. I, on the other hand, as I went through the later ages as well as in college, knew something was wrong because I couldn't do math. I couldn't sit still. Word problems confounded me. But I also got good grades when it was a subject that I really, really liked. So the point is, later in my life, and it was when I was 57 and back in a city college taking a certification course to design landscapes. I already knew how to design them. I didn't know how to draw it out. Uh, I got a test and it showed what, if we had known back then, may have saved me decades and decades of embarrassment or shame, or feeling belittled. And that was that I was dyslexic, that I had other learning disabilities, and that I have ADHD. Well, but that's not the point here. The point here is that what I was good at, ultimately I used. I have a grandson who is rather severely ADHD, has, I'm not sure if he's dyslexic. I didn't get that from what I heard, but I was just with that family, my son's family, this last weekend, and I made a point to say, watch for anything he's good at and promote to him your approval of his skills, his tendencies, and guide him for self acceptance, as well as, because it'll keep him focused on things, whatever it is he's doing right. In other words, catch him doing something right rather than catching him doing something wrong. So in a way, we're kind of doing that today, because my focus on this began by reading this, and it reminded me of why my life turned out really well, uh, especially at a certain point when my, let's say, star-shaped cog wouldn't fit into any other hole but a star-shaped hole. And I'm being figuratively, but I'll mention that in just a little bit. So that's why I came up with a desire to make a point to everybody and anyone who hasn't put two and two together, and that is who we were and what we've become, and how the two can marry to make life work really well. And again, I'll explain that. So back to the title, Playtime to Purpose, Awakening Your Inner Child. So how can we do this? And what are some of the key points and strategies? Well, first of all, I'm going to begin by making an effort, helping us make an effort to understand our childhood talents and interests. And this can take some self-reflection. If you're with my group, I have a PowerPoint group I meet with every Tuesday afternoon, and the group, I think there are 13, 14, 15 of us together, and they're in the background, they're writing things down. You may want to do the same thing, and you may want to play this again if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, because I think this can be a helpful way to encourage us to see ourselves in an even better light, and perhaps take us to a, if not new, how about a better place, by applying one thing, the thing that we were born maybe to do well, and still give us the leg up with those skills that maybe we've even forgotten that we have, over whatever we are doing now. So we'll begin by, first of all, understanding the childhood talents. And that takes some self-reflection. And what I was saying is, you may want to pull out a piece of paper and write a couple of things down. Are you ready? All right. Try to recall your favorite activities, games, hobbies, and I'll use the word proclivities, where you tended to find yourself. I found myself clearly by the responses of these teachers talking, wanting to lead, playing. They said she's always with friends. She makes friends easily. She likes to be the leader. Well, ultimately, that led me to a multi-million-dollar business. She can't hold still. Well, I was able to work really well not holding still. She has a problem learning certain things. Well, I just avoided those things and hired people to do them for me, which I still do to this day. So again, think back if you can. I had the benefit of having all of this in writing, which was quite remarkable, actually. But if you have anything like that, or you can just sit back and think back to as far back as you can. What did I love to do? Um, what did we enjoy about these activities that we found we gravitated to? What skills and traits were exhibited while we were doing them? In other words, if somebody was with us in those early years and their job was to catch us doing something right, we can advocate for ourselves in that way. Catching you doing something right, what was it? And what was special about it? Journaling can be useful here. It can help you remember childhood experiences, focusing on what you loved doing, and again, how that made you feel. Now, there's a mixed bag here because some of us, and I wrote my book, Aging Powerfully, as part memoir. And then the majority of it, the part that I use to describe moving forward, strong, powerful, confident in life, um, and especially using pillars of lifestyle medicine. And I outline all of that, but I used the first part of the book as a memoir because it kind of outlined the challenges that were really strong influences in my life. My guess is just about everyone listening to this will, as I say, find this a bit of a mixed bag because it was, while I was reading this, I was thinking, but you didn't get it. When I was in the first, second, third grade, we had been told dad was off with some other family. There was one person with this family of 3 kids, 1 year apart each. And we'd been kind of, well, in 1951, when I was born, and in those 50s, families were families. You didn't have a lot of divorcees raising kids and the kids kind of going wild. So I thought to myself, you didn't get how hard it was to be a kid under those circumstances. And yet, that's not what we're focusing on here. So I would say to you, because I had to do that, I had to kind of push all that away. That's not the point here. What is it that we can glean from those times that ultimately can give us power? And once we understand what we were good at, what our strengths were back then maybe identify the core talents and skills that are applicable to today. You may want to make a list of the skills or the traits that you used in your favorite childhood activities, like were you creative? Were you a problem solver? Were you a leader? Were you comfortable in a group? Were you shy and introspective? Were you kind and the peacemaker? In other words, think about, again, catching yourself doing something right back there and highlight back then and highlighting what that was, because that was back then your true nature. Can you connect these skills to your current life and career? For example, a love of storytelling could translate into strong communication skills. Well, all of what I did wrong ultimately led to where I ended up that I was really good. I found myself in several jobs that I wasn't proud of my capability in, but as soon as I got into a position where I could just cut free with what I did well and not be bothered with what I didn't, I excelled. And what I mean is, and you would read this in the book, when my son was 4 months old, I went to a Tupperware party just to get out of the house. And she said, "You want to make some money? Want to have some fun? Why don't you join us?" So I became a Tupperware lady. And you know what? I could stand in front of people and talk. I could lead a group through finding value in a product that could save them, listen to me, sell time, energy, and money, show them how to use it. I then got really good at recruiting people because I could teach success through my own experience. And within 5 months, I was driving the company car, and I did the entire time I was with Tupperware until I had my own Tupperware company. And then I supplied cars to all of our managers who qualified. So, in other words, the things that got me in trouble, the ability to talk, speak clearly, it wasn't a matter of quantity, no, quality. It was a matter of quantity that became the problem, became the blessing. My leadership skills became the blessing. My inability to do certain things didn't matter because I could give those to other people. I happened to have a husband at the time that was a civil engineer by education and public administrator. And he said, because I kept messing up with order forms, I couldn't do an order form. It's still embarrassing now. I can't think of many forms I've filled out at doctor's offices that didn't have a bunch of scratch outs. But he said, let me do it, because he watched me mess up with orders all the time. So again, catch yourself, catch yourself even today, doing things right that you don't give enough credit to, see them as your strength, and look for a place to apply them. Okay, so number 3, how can we connect to that inner child? Engage in activities that recreate childlike play, such as drawing, building, storytelling, chainsawing your way through a backyard and creating a beautiful garden. This is cute because somebody in our group got herself this little chainsaw, and she's basically recreating a landscape with that thing. We were just talking about it. Let me make sure I'm where I want to be. Let's see. Okay. This can help you tap into your creative side and rediscover lost passions. Using mindfulness can help you stay focused during these activities as well, by helping you stay in the present moment, enjoy the play activities, and not uh, see them under the veil of judgment, but just go free fall into whatever it is you're having a great time with. And again, see what other applicable uh, uses it may have, if nothing more than to add one more thing to your life that you truly enjoy. All right, next, how about applying those childhood passions to adulthood? Take a minute to consider, have you turned a childhood passion into a successful career, fulfilling hobby, or pastime? What have you taken that you might not have even recognized as an affinity of yours, a childhood affinity, and guided into your life, woven into your present day either preference or business or use of your time? And then what about any barriers? There could be some barriers that you may have to overcome. What could be barriers that could stand in your way? How about societal expectations, self-doubt, maybe lack of time? What can you do to overcome those obstacles? Who or what can you turn to that would help and offer support, or a supportive environment where you can share your experience and get encouragement from others. I live near a senior center, this huge, very active senior center. And in our morning group, we were talking to people that have found not pinball, pickleball, uh, uh, table tennis, um, card game playing. In other words, there are facilities at which people uh, can enhance their skills or learn new skills and do them with other people who are very supportive in that way. And then finally, so if you are moved to do so, if this has maybe touched a heartstring, what can you do to take action and use this feeling, use this knowledge? What could you do to integrate your childhood talents and passions into your daily life? How about setting aside time for hobbies, exploring a new career or activity or volunteer pathway, or simply incorporating more play into your daily routine? I want to encourage you to continue to explore and embrace your inner child and honor the idea that it's never, ever too late to pursue what you love. So, to rehash, we're first looking at an effort to understand what it was that we loved to do back then and what it did for us. Next, we're identifying core talents that those skills exemplified. Again, those talents like creativity, problem solving, leadership. Next, we're reconnecting with that inner child by doing activities that create childlike play, such as drawing or storytelling or mosaic work. Um, and then we're applying our childhood passions to adulthood in any activity that you see that you can integrate the two. If there are barriers, look for people that can support you in what you want to do and reframe any hesitation that you may have to just give it a try. And then finally, take action. Take action by putting into play in even a small way what you have identified and what you would like to build and grow from. And then finally, using these steps uh, by using these steps, you may be able to recognize the value of your inner child and perhaps integrate your authentic self into your current life. That's all I've got to say. If you choose to do this, and I've put a lot of thought into what I read, I just remember, and when I said this could be double-edged, I just remember how bad it felt. And yet, you know what? The best thing I ever did was to find a way to use all those deficits in a way that they made me better than just about anybody else in my field. I built one of the top Tupperware companies in the world, top 50 in the world, because I had skills that got me in a lot of trouble. uh, how old was I when I started Tupperware? 28. Those things got me in a lot of trouble 20 years before that. Anyway, okay, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, subscribe to my channel, share it, give it a thumbs up, and come back and visit. And I want to encourage you to have a great day because I know I'm going to. All right, bye-bye.